Today I want to take a look at capturing digital signatures with PowerApps Canvas. Here we are looking at a standard blank canvas. We'll go ahead and add a header to our application. We'll call it digital signature. Bring this over to center alignment. Give it a bold. We'll add a fill color also, just for making this stand out a little bit. Beautiful. All right. And we're going to add in some text for what is it that people are signing and approving. They need some content to work with. So we'll go ahead and load that in. Now we have some content for people to review. Excellent. And now we're going to start adding our signature panel. What we're going to do is add a signature line and a date where we can capture with the ink pen someone's signature and save that off as a JPEG image file. But we also want the date stamp. And so this will provide an alternative to other electronic signature systems, maybe like DocuSign or other vendors, and give you something that you can work with native in Microsoft Power Platform using the tools you have available today, something that you can distribute easily and get up and running in just a few minutes. Now for storage, we do have a SharePoint site. We're going to need to set up a few different things for the storage on the back end. And we'll come back over to the front. We have our header, we have our body, we have our site, and now we're going to add a little bit. Next, we're going to go ahead and add a label. And we're going to give this a fill color of white. There we are. Make it large. And I'm going to come back to the application screen itself. And we're going to give this a little bit different just so that it can stand out a little better. There we go, because we're going to have this sort of pop-up experience for how the click is happening and how we're going to capture the signature itself. And we want to go ahead and add a signature line. And for that, we're going to add one here. Take this out, make the a height of 2 pixels, a fill color of black, and this is how we're going to get our line horizontal. There we go. Width property, increase. Probably make this a little bit larger. There we go. The text value itself. Take that out. Getting better. Yes, yes. Now we have our signature line. Make it a little bit wider. And we're going to go ahead and add another text label. And here we'll just put signature. Easily done. So now we have the pop-up experience, we have the line, we have the text. Good. Now we want to put a pen input control. So this is really the key to it all. We're going to take a pen input control and we're going to put it directly over this box, but we're going to make it transparent in a way that people really don't know that they're interfacing with it. So we have to grab the border thickness and change it from 2 to 0. We're going to make the fill color, instead of that, we're going to go with transparent. Very nice. And the show controls, which are the different menus that we have available, we're going to make that false. So now it hides away. And we can go ahead and hit play and start playing with the control. And that's pretty cool. We've got a way of capturing a signature. Wow, good stuff. And if you want to reset it, run the app on start, navigate start screen. There's a few things we can do there. Yes, yes, yes. And we want to add some different buttons to be able to sort of reset or to keep our signature. And what we're going to do with that is go ahead and insert some icons. So here we've added a couple of icons, accept, reject. We're going to align those, make sure everything's all lined up. And probably grab these labels and give them a little bit heavier font. We'll take the font face to bold. We got the accept, reject icons, our signature itself, save our work. Very nice, very nice. Okay. Okay, yes. So here we're going to have a little bit more add to our application. So for everything to work correctly, we need to give some formula to the handling of the accept and reject. So right now, all of these are default names on the left-hand side. We're going to change that a little bit. We're going to say ICO accept for the icon. And we're going to rename this one to ICO reject on the left. We're going to give this one a naming of LBL accept. And then we're going to have one more for LBL reject. LBL reject. We have our pin input control. Okay, so on the on select of the accept icon, we are going to set a variable for show signature to be equal to true. Very nice. All right, and then over here on the on select of this one, there we go. Same thing. Now reject is going to be different. Reject is a little bit more. So we want to do this, make it false, but also we want to reset that pin input control. The pin input needs to be reset, and for the label as well. So now we're getting somewhere. We have all of those set. With all of these items in place, if we click the reject, hey, we can clear out the signature. That's pretty cool. That's working the way we would want to. Now for the accept, we'll go ahead and toggle the display and we'll go back to the main screen. So next we're going to go ahead and insert a rectangle control. Bring it down here, check the fill color, make that equal to white. Beautiful. Insert a label. Name that as customer signature. Very good. And I think we're also going to add a date. Well, I mean, in this case, customer signature. It could be a lot of different people. We'll keep it generic as signature. We'll put date to the right-hand side. We're going to duplicate this control over there. And we want to insert an image to display what we have equal on the image that we've captured. So we want to bring in an image control. Yeah, and we're going to put that right here in the signature box. We're going to grab the image property, and that's going to be set equal to the pin input.image. And the image position property is going to be not fit, but fill. That'll stretch it out, make it fill the dialog. And the on select of this will be set the var show signature true to give us the pop-up window. Pretty cool. And over here, we're going to put the date attribute. And we're going to make that the text property equal to today. So this is our, oh, that control was a rectangle. We should make that a label. Label is better. Bring a label to the side. Over here, text property, today, open, close. Fill property, white. There it is. Now if we play the app and we click the signature block, we get our pop-up. We can provide a signature, and the reject will reset it. For the accept, we need a little bit more coding. All right, so now we can reject the signature. We can accept the signature. We can reset it. Do whatever different type of signature we want, just to show it's coming through. Clear it. Do something new. Any which way we need to. Easily handled. Easily handled. Good. Now in doing these pop-up controls, there is one thing I want to make sure we handle correctly. The word date is very subtle, is coming into our pop-up window because of the z-index ordering. So one thing we're going to do is we're going to accept this signature. We're going to take the date, and for the ordering, we're going to send it to the back. And you know what? We're going to do that with all four. Right-click, ordering send to back. And this handles that bug where the pop-up was coming through. And now the container, we should be able to bring that front, play our app, and we'll see what we can get. So now when we go ahead and play our application, we can see the signature come and the date is in the background here, making this pop-up window more of a foreground. Now technically it's all one screen, so that's something we have to manage ourselves, but at least we can reject this, we can reject, we can accept. We have a good way of managing our signature now. Our next step is going to be making a flow that can execute the save and put this into storage, into a SharePoint site. So we're going to go ahead and add a data source with SharePoint. We do have a site created that's empty over here just for the storage. We'll put in the URL, and we'll connect out. And that's our default library with documents. We're going to do a little better. We're going to switch over here and make a new document library. We'll call it signatures, fair enough, to separate it from the default document library. Nothing we really need to do with this. This will be all the default fields. Now on the site contents, we're also going to create a list. And for this, we'll do blank and we'll just call it signed forms. Now this might be something different in your particular business. It could be a signed contract, a signed purchase order, a signed invoice, whatever you need to name it. Here we're going with kind of a generic name, which is totally fine. We'll do signed forms. So we're going to create a multi-line text field. We'll call it document text. Fair enough. We're going to create a single line text field and call it signature image link. And we're going to create a signature date field, which is date only. So not date and time, but include time as a no, signature date. All right, cool. Good, good, good. So this gives us a little bit of metadata for the parent form and then the child being the signature image. Now for the flow to go ahead and execute and do the data connections, we want to come over here and we're going to do a little bit of work with Power Automate and create a new flow. The trigger will be PowerApps. It's going to actually be a button click. So I don't really need one of the templates. I'll say create from blank. And taking a look at our Save Digital Signature workflow, we'll right-click Edit, bring a pop-up window, and check our 3 steps and 3 parameters. We're bringing in 3 text parameters, what text they agreed to, the text of the file name, and a text of the base 64 for the image content. So the image content itself is held as base 64. We're going to create a file. We're going to get the ID property of that file with a item URL link, which will go here. And then we're going to create an item in our SharePoint list. And this is more of a tracking or kind of an inventory of what signatures were collected. Things like the date, a URL to view the image, the text of what they agreed to. This is strictly the binary payload of the image itself. So we create a file, we get the properties, and then we create an item. Pretty easy on the SharePoint steps. The one key to look at on this is the decode URI parameter here, decode data URI. And we'll take that over and look at it in Notepad. It is decoding a data URI and it's replacing the double quote symbol. So we take away double quote symbols and then we get a clean data URI, and that's something that we can save into our SharePoint library. So this is the design of our flow. 3 text parameters, very easy. 1 decode data URI function, which has a replace inside of it. And then everything's pretty clean at that point. I do use the UTC now function for the signature date. The link to item is coming from the previous step, and the item ID comes from the previous step there. So they chain together all 3 steps to create a file and create a list item. A few updates on our submit function. One thing I did enable on this application is under the preview experimental. We have the user-defined data types, which give us JSON support. Go ahead and turn that on. Turn on the JSON support, turn on the user-defined types. Then what we get on our submit function, we're going to make a few changes. We're going to save into a var signature image a JSON encoding of the signature. Now, why are we doing this? A few reasons. It provides visibility, debug tracing, and more compatibility with the new Microsoft APIs. By putting this signature into a JSON expression and then say include binary data, we get one of these guys, which is a data image URL. And it tells you it's a PNG base 64, and you can see all the content. So it's really not that hard. We just want to do set variable, provide JSON, and include binary data. And we can even type that up again just for seeing it. Var signature, right? It's like, okay, so we're going to set a variable. And what do we put inside of that variable? We're going to use our JSON function. We're going to provide the pin inputs image, but we're going to say the data encoding is the one that includes binary data. So now when we capture our signature, we're holding it into a variable where we have a little more control over the formatting. And when we preview into that, we'll see the value in just a moment. So var signature image, there it is. We want to do the pin 1 image data, correct. And then we're going to send that to the backend flow with 3 parameters. The first is the text of what people are signing. The second is a file name of PNG, and this is really a timestamp. It's a timestamp PNG file name. This is the base 64 data URL. And then, of course, the text for what they're assigning. So those are our 3 parameters. If we go ahead and play the application and hit our submit button, we can go back over to our flow and check out a few things. So we're actually going to receive 3 text inputs. Very simple, very clean, nothing much to it. One of those will be the file name itself, direct and ready to go. The other is this guy here, which we'll take a look at in our expression builder. This is the data URI, and we're replacing out any of the quote symbols because it does come over with a double quote prefix and suffix as part of the JSON. So this is really an adjustment for giving it JSON. And we'll take a look at that over here into Notepad just so you can see the full formula that we're replacing out to take away those. Yes. And there is our data image URI. Now the net effect of all of this is we're still able to create our image, saving it as PNG, but we get debugging, we get tracing, we get to see it. So if we come into our run history, we see our success on the flow. Now instead of some murky, obscure image data type, we actually get to see the full trace. We get a trace with the file name, we get a trace with the text that they signed, and we get a trace with the image, the data image URI. Now with that one, I do have a special utility I'll bring for you guys here. And this lets you look at any of those particular data URI images. So from a troubleshooting view, if you come over here to show outputs, and you were to grab a hold of that parameter that flow received, here it is. Show more, that's right. Copy the whole thing over. And we do convert to image. Look at that. We can see the image. And that will exactly match the data image base 64 from our flow trace. And it will exactly match the input given on the application. So by using data URLs, we're using more of a modern web standard and something that has more visibility and more debug. So our flow receives 3 text parameters. What did they agree to, the name of the file, and the content of the image. When we're debugging and tracing, we can see the 3 text parameters very clearly. The file name, the content, and the text. Those get saved to SharePoint and an item created, and it runs very well with the 3 text parameters. Into our library, we can see the image collected. This exactly matches what we had upstream on the application. And you can see the file name has our current user and timestamp with the properties we gave it on our concatenate formula, which were over here for how you want to name it with the timestamp and the current user. Then coming into the signed forms, this is collecting the text of what did they sign, and it has a link to the PNG to view the graphic. It has, of course, the date of when they signed, and this was the text of what did they agree to. So capturing what did the application present them at that moment. So with all of this combined, we now have a really cool signature application. We can come in, we can collect our signatures any which way that we need to, submit them, collect those into MS Flow, receive the PNG files, have our debug tracing, and all of this is done with the licenses you have now using PowerApps and Power Automate. Thanks for watching.